Juegos de Tronos has just released the sort of like a second teaser trailer for Game of Thrones Season 7. I'm about to break that down. Okay, so to avoid copyright reasons, let's go ahead and look at this frame by frame. The trailer starts off with like this big setup they have out in the middle of like this plaza type area, and they have all of these different fans of Game of Thrones like you and I walking into these different exhibits. They appear to be doors, and as they walk in, we get the first image of Arya, the Night King, and Hodor, and they're all doing like the different little skits. Arya's is funny. She's like, "Why did you open the door? You know, what are you here for?" And then she's like, "Do you want me to tell you a secret?" And then after that, that's when the trailer starts. And the very first shot we get is of what could potentially be a new Maester. I believe that it might actually be, you know, one of the, this guy, he was cast earlier in the season, and this is likely a shot of inside the library because we can see an actual bookshelf on the left and then the green screen behind it, probably using CG to make the rest of the bookshelves and how they appear really high and stuff. The next one is, I'm going to go ahead and say this is the battle at Casterly Rock. There are lion sigils everywhere. It looks like this is right when the battle begins. The Unsullied have rushed the gates. They're like doing hand-to-hand combat with Lannister soldiers, and their uniforms are a bit different. And like I said, with the lion sigils everywhere, this is definitely the battle at Casterly Rock. The next shot we get is of another one of Daenerys arriving on the beach at Dragonstone. Like I said, they're spending so much time showing us of her arriving in Westeros because it's supposed to be epic. You know, she's following in the same footsteps as Aegon the Conqueror. The next one we get is of what I think is going to be Field of Fire 2. Now, we do see this from, obviously, the other angle, but if you notice, there are two guys over there that look like they're in ninja suits, and they could potentially be trying to put them out. We do know that Game of Thrones broke a record of setting a record number of people on fire, so this is likely the Field of Fire where Daenerys releases all three of her dragons all at once, and these are Lannister troops burning. You can even see parts of their armor melting. The next shot we get is just of Franken Mountain unsheathing his sword, likely trying to intimidate a foe of Cersei. Real quick, if you're enjoying this breakdown, please slap a like on this video as it greatly helps out my channel. Next up, we get a quick shot of another behind the scenes of Daenerys walking around Dragonstone, and we get a shot of Tyrion in the background, so perhaps they're discussing what their next step is going to be since they have officially arrived in Westeros. Then we get a quick shot of Jaime looking down in disgust at what I'm going to say this is still King's Landing. If you look at the windows behind them, those look like the same, you know, like sort of like a rock stained glass that we are used to seeing in King's Landing, and it looks like he's just stood up from sitting down from maybe talking with Cersei, and he looks like he could have that disgust on his face because she just told him something that he isn't going to try, that he's not really trying to do. It'll probably break even more oaths. Then we get a quick shot of Jon. He is definitely north of the wall. He's got his full wildling gear on. I've actually done a video about this, and you can click up here if you want to know what Jon Snow's doing. But in the little shot that we get of him, he's clearly flipping a sword, and he catches it. Kudos, because it's north of the wall, and he's got time to play around and, you know, shenanigans. Next up, we get is another shot of the battle at Casterly Rock, and I'm thinking this is going to be epic. This is probably going to be the first major battle we get, because like I've said in lots of my Game of Thrones Season 7 prediction videos, Daenerys will not have her entire fleet go to Dragonstone. She's going to have them split up, and it looks like the Unsullied are going to go to Casterly Rock, and Grey Worm is with them. I'll get to that image later. So the battle at Casterly Rock is supposed to be, in my opinion, it's going to be as epic as the Battle of the Bastards, like on that scale. And this is a shot of an Unsullied soldier. Once they breached with the ladders, he looks like he's falling backwards to his death. Then we get a quick shot of Jon, and he's telling everyone how yesterday's wars need not matter, and he looks like he's speaking with his advisors. This is another shot from the same images that we got last week, where it was from the beginning of that, and we could see Lyanna and all them. So it looks like everyone's here. I do see Brienne and Pod all the way down on the right side at the end, and I also see Lyanna Mormont and then Littlefinger behind her. So this is Jon letting them know, I'm about to go to Dragonstone. I need to get some dragon glass. Then we get a quick shot of a battle on one of Daenerys' ships. I thought that the person being attacked with the Warhammer was Theon, and it looks like one of Euron's men is attacking Theon head-on. It looks like Theon might have a sword that he caught the Warhammer with, but this is going to be another intense battle. And the only way Euron is able to take on even part of Daenerys' fleet is if she splits up and divide and conquers. Shot of Daenerys running her hand down the war room table at Dragonstone. This is a behind the scenes shot, and we're seeing what the camera's actually showing us, and we'll see this on camera. Then we get a shot of Arya behind the scenes. It did look very cold. She looks like she was, like, you know, like flushed from all of like cold wind hitting her face. So I will say that she's getting closer and closer to Winterfell. Out of Daenerys further exploring Dragonstone. She looks like she could be in the dungeons of Dragonstone, and this is probably where, spoiler alert, this is probably where she comes across those dragon skulls that were there was about 40 of them, and all of them were different sizes. So this is likely that scene. Grey Worm, this confirms that he's at the battle at Casterly Rock, and it looks like he's sneaking up behind a Lannister soldier. Likely, you know, the actors probably become friendly with the extras on set because they're filming scenes multiple times, so it would only make sense. They're people. Obviously, they're going to talk to each other. So this is them kind of goofing around, but this confirms that Grey Worm is at the battle of Casterly Rock, and if Daenerys is successful, he likely survives this battle. But it makes sense that he would hook up with Missandei before he left because she didn't know if he'd be coming back. I do think that Grey Worm is going to die this season. I don't know if it's going to be at the battle of Casterly Rock. Then we are treated to a quick shot of Daenerys entering her throne room. This is the initial teaser trailer that we got for Season 7, where basically it was her, Jon, and Cersei, and they're all walking into their respective thrones. It has officially arrived at her Dragonstone throne. Say that 3 times fast. Then we get a quick shot of Cersei sulking in her bedroom chamber. This is likely right after that conversation with Jaime. Sansa, she's looking like this is right after that scene where Jon addresses everyone, telling them the wars of yesterday don't matter no more. You know, the only thing that matters is winter. A shot of Bree and Potty in their spring, and it looks like spring. They're sparring, and it looks like they're, you know, suiting up. Pod never kind of finished his night training. They were still in the process of that last season, so it looks like they're continuing it. And it looks like Brienne is getting a little bit rougher, which makes sense because playtime's pretty much over. She does end up tripping up, taking him off his feet, which is cool because we did get that shot of Pod earlier, so we know he might have some interesting scenes. Then we get a shot of the Hound, and this is also behind the scenes. It looks like he's in the studio in Belfast because there's a giant green screen, and there's a whole bunch of, like, you know, like stuff that would only be in their main studio in Northern Ireland. So it looks like this could be right before he arrives at Winterfell, and he's, of course, doing his friendly smile to the camera. Then we get a shot of Missandei, Tyrion, Varys, and Daenerys right outside Dragonstone. It looks like they're looking at someone funny, and I hope that that is Melisandre, and Melisandre went back there because that's the only place that she knows to go. That was her home for many years with Stannis. So it would make sense that when Jon Snow banished her from the north, she would go south. I didn't think she would go as far south as Dragonstone because she basically, like, parallel with King's Landing, but I think that this shot is them looking at Melisandre, and Varys and Tyrion kind of know what's up, and they're like, why is this bitch here? Then we get a shot of more of the battle at Casterly Rock, and it looks like this is another shot from the initial battle, like when they breach the doors and they run in. A shot of an Unsullied warrior breaking the neck of a Lannister soldier. I do think that the Unsullied will dominate the Lannisters. They are not prepared for soldiers who have been trained to be warriors their entire life. The same cannot be said for the Lannister soldiers. They're likely majorly unprepared. Then we get a shot of Jaime arriving into battle, and I think this is actually Jaime arriving at Highgarden. We get a shot after that where it's a shot of some sort of trunk, and then in the next shot we get a banner rolling over it. But in this shot, I zoomed in on it, and it looks like it says Olenna Couture. So that makes me think, okay, they're at Highgarden. The Queen of Thorns, that's the only place where her dresses would be, so it would just make sense that, you know, they kind of slipped this in there, and spoiler alert, but the plot leak kind of confirms some of this. So we get the Lannister banner going down over that, so that kind of signifies we don't really have a zoomed out shot of this. We don't see, like, you know, heavy shrubbery or like a huge garden or anything. We just get kind of like a rustic Lannister banner thrown over a crate that I think says Olenna Couture. I want to thank you all so much for watching. The like goal for this video will be 150. If you would like to enter my contest for once I reach 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and you can be entered for a chance to win this lovely Daenerys Dark Horse figurine, all you have to do to enter that contest is like this video, comment down below, subscribe to me here on YouTube, and hop on Twitter and on Instagram and follow me. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews.